Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Shehab Beram. He's a senior digital product leader and product mentor, previously an entrepreneur, and he's the founder of VisionX, the first personal branding studio for product leaders. Welcome to the show, Shehab.
Thank you so much for having me, Ajay. Pleasure being here.
You are welcome to the show. Shehab, you are welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to discuss right now. We'll talk about digital product management. We'll talk about growth hacking for digital product. But before that, Shehab, a bit about your journey, about you for the audience so that they can understand who they are listening to directly from the guest himself.
Amazing. Again, thank you so much, Ajay, for having me. I'm currently a senior product leader with the biggest delivery service company in the Middle East called Marsul. I'm also the founder of VisionX. As you mentioned, it's the first personal branding studio for product leaders where we help product leaders grow their presence, basically expand to go to more services and offer basically their mentorship and consultancy um, services to other companies and other individuals. Um, Previously, I was product manager with different companies. I consulted companies also from Singapore, from Philippines, from Germany, as well as the US. But I chose to settle down in the Middle East because there is a high growth potential here where you can show your impact here, and help products or AKA companies grow through their products. Before jumping into product management, I was a founder of a company called Manasat. It's basically a digital studio, or let's call it startup studio, where we own different products and we profited from these products. And basically, I spent most of my life in Malaysia, where I grew up there. Basically, I studied there as well as like I had my first startup and my first product experience there. So that's pretty much all about me.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Shehab, let me understand about digital products for the audience. Now, if you ask me about as a podcaster, digital products means normal products. Either it's a template or some sort of a uh, uh, document that you can sell. Help us understand, in your understanding, what are digital products, and are there different kind of digital products? Do you deal with the same kind of digital products, or are there some different kind of digital products that we should know about?
So basically, when we say a digital product, it's any online solution that you use to solve your problems. All right. So we use Slack, for example. Slack is a digital product. LinkedIn is a digital product. All right. For example, TopMate is a digital product. The current platform that we are using now is a digital product. Each digital product solves a specific problem. All right. You have a problem in your life. For example, now the current StreamYard platform is a product where it solves the broadcasting, for example, or the streaming problems. All right. You have a specific problem. This digital product helps you solve it. All right. As a product manager, you will own this specific product for two things. Firstly, you want to solve the customer problem. Your customers will have tons of problems. You want to make sure to solve them in order for you to increase the stickiness of your product and to make sure that they use your only product or this specific company's product only. And the second goal is to increase revenue for the company, all right? Because at the end of the day, you as a company are not building a product just for the sake of enjoyment, or like enjoying life or just to be known as a founder or a company with a product. You want to make sure that your company is generating profit. You want to make sure that your product is solving a real problem. So that's the job of the product manager. Now, when it comes to classifying digital products, we have tons of classifications, tons of categories. For example, when we say a digital product, it could be a SaaS, software as a service. For example, StreamYard, the current platform that we are using now, is a software as a service product, where you can actually use it to, or you can just access it as a software, and basically the company generates revenue from the software itself. All right. We have other classifications, for example, like food tech product, which is any food delivery product. We have edutech products, any product that helps with online education, right? We have tons of classifications. We can classify the products vertically and we can classify them horizontally. There is the horizontal classification of the business itself. We have B2B products, products that are meant for companies, products that companies will be using, to solve their internal problems, or external problems, obviously. And we have B2C products, which is basically products that are meant for customers. For example, any food delivery product is a B2C product because it helps you get your food faster. So this is how we think about products.
Right, right. So a lot of people, either individuals or companies, are into this whole launching of digital products. So suppose let's do for take for two examples. One is an individual who has got the knowledge and they want to sell that knowledge through a digital product that they can think of, and somebody, a small company, also wants to create some digital product, they want to launch it. How do they go about? What is the best way for them to do so? In every nook and corner there are experts in one field or the other, and there is a whole market for such things. People want to learn directly from those people who know, and online has become that it has broken so many barriers. The entry is very, very low. How do you
Correct.
go about getting started with this? What are the things that one should keep in mind, either as an individual or as a startup or as a small company?
Lovely, lovely. So, Ajay, in order for us to identify basically the correct steps to launch a digital product, we need to make sure to assess our current context. All right. So, firstly, do you want to launch a new digital product for an existing company, or do you want to launch it for yourself as an individual, or a solo entrepreneur? So let's assume that you want to be launching it in a company. All right. First steps would be to get sort of like internal buy-in. Like, what can this specific product introduce for the company? Are we talking about more revenue? Are we talking about more reach? Are we talking about more problems solved for your customer in order for us to double down on our brand? You want to understand your goal firstly. All right. Then once you understand your goal, you want to make sure that you talk with your customers, you understand their problems in order for you to introduce the perfect and the ideal solution for them. And to basically research your customers, we have tons of research techniques. And research techniques differ from individuals to companies. So if you are like an individual launching a product, you have different research techniques than a company, for example, launching a new product. Why? Because a company has basically the privilege of more resources. I have more resources. I can invest in better user research. I can invest in talking with wider customer base. I have existing data from my existing products. However, the situation, as I said, differs if you are an individual. If you are an individual, the best first step to take is to just talk with your relatives, or your friends. Like, specifically, if you're launching a B2C product, you want to go to them, you want to understand their problem, you want to make sure that what you will be building is something that is relevant and something that can truly introduce some sort of value. You want to understand also the willingness to pay for them, or what we call YTP. Willingness to pay for you as a solo entrepreneur is very crucial. Because you want to make sure that a product you are launching is worth the investment, is worth also the time that you want to be spending on, is worth building a startup around it, or in case you want to look into it as a side hustle, is worth your time. So that's what you want to make sure. The very crucial step that you need to be actually executing is doing correct user research. There is a whole science behind doing correct user research. Even constructing the questions has a science behind it. Like, I recommend the listeners to read a book called The Mom Test. Right, it's perfect on how you can craft perfect questions, and how you can craft basically the perfect user research that can elicitate the information you need out of your your users. So that's the very first steps, So to recap, if you are in a company, you want to make sure that there is an internal buy-in, around the problem, around the opportunity, in order for you to ensure that the resources will be in place. And the second best step would be doing some sort of user research. That's how you ensure you're moving fast. The third step for companies would be building an MVP, coming up with a very, very small iteration for that product, build it, launch it, experiment with real users, experiment in real time, make sure that your basically product is performing in the best metrics that you set. For example, you're, let's say, launching, you're like Amazon started like a book or online book store. All right, now Amazon expanded later to other categories of products. So before that, Amazon wanted sort of like wanted to scale, so let's take Amazon as an example. If I was a bookstore and then I wanted to scale, what I want to start with is I want to start with an internal buy-in on the opportunity. I want to assess the opportunity. Then I want to go and talk with customers. Then I want to start with an MVP. An MVP could be building a small new category, doing it manually. Maybe going to streets and and asking customers to buy from Amazon, let's say clothes or accessories. Then once you go with the MVP and basically assess the data, assess the willingness to pay for your customers, you want to then go full scale. You want to go and basically build it in your product. Now, if you're an individual, as I said, you want to start with user research right away because you don't have the privilege of having tons of resources as an organization. So you want to go talk with your customers, make sure to understand their problems very well. And once you understand their problems very well, you want to act fast. You want to decide if you want to go with pre-market investment, which is basically building bunch of slides in a pitch deck, getting the investment out of like VCs or angel investors, and go with the MVP approach as well. Or you have enough resources. Let's say you have enough savings. You want to go full scale on a small MVP because you don't want to burn all of your resources and launch. So they do have similar approach, but the only difference I would say, Ajahi, is the resources component of things. You want to assess your current context, you want to assess the resources in order for you to decide what kind of path you want to take. But the main similarity between all context, all circumstances, is one thing: user research must be executed because you want to build the right thing for your audience, the right thing for the time and money and basically any type of resources investment that you'll be putting in your digital product.
Right, Shahab. So one thing that comes to my mind is that nowadays, if you want to create something good, you can still create it and put it out in the market. But
Correct.
if you want to create it as a business and want to earn money, what is the time frame that you should look for your product? Because as I said, the speed of change is very fast. Especially, any digital idea is also can be easily replicable. And by the
Correct.
time you are trying to scale it up, somebody might be able to put it. So, do we have a particular time frame in mind, looking at the market dynamics? Because by the time I launch, people will be ready for the free product. But when it comes to paid version, people are not, because other versions are also coming and then they are free, and you don't have that much of money to compete in that environment. So how do I plan that strategy in terms of deciding when I will become profitable, and by that time will the idea still be unique for the market?
Lovely, lovely. So look, Ajal, there is no perfect or ideal time frame for you to launch your product or to actually say that, let's say in 4 months, I'm going to be profitable, Nothing such basically actually present in business or product world nowadays, It comes down to two main things: what kind of unique problems you're solving to your customer, and the second thing is what kind of value proposition you are offering. All right. Now, some companies, when they launch because they want to just build a product. They want to build a product. They want to make sure that they're competing in that market. But they fail in their value proposition. For example, now Google Podcasts has just now got discontinued. Why? Because they
Yes.
didn't have a unique value proposition. Like what is the value proposition of Google Podcasts against, for example, Spotify podcasts product line? All right. That's what you need to nail in your early steps. What is your value proposition? What is that sweet spot, that unique spot, that you want to actually solve, that basically very unique pain point for your customers? You want to solve early, you want to solve in a timely manner to increase the stickiness of your customer, and to offer basically in a very, let's call it, um, different way from other competitors, be it new entrants or existing entrants. That's what you need to know. That's what you need to actually understand and elicitate from your early stages. And that's why I'm saying user research is always your very, very early step. It should be basically your very early step. Why? Because it's going to help you identify that sweet spot. If in your user research you cannot identify that sweet spot, you cannot think of a value proposition, there is no point of you building your product. Why? Because it's not going to be different. So when we say your value proposition, we're talking about here, do you have a new product offering? So is your digital product offering more capabilities than other existing competitors or other existing market players? And when I say capabilities, I'm not saying just for the sake of features. I'm talking here about problems. Do you solve more problems than other competitors? If your answer no, then is your offering cheaper than other competitors? Are we here talking about the price as a value proposition? If not, then basically, do you have, let's call it, better user experience, better experience in solving their problem? In some companies, solving your problem can be hard. For example, I can go back to StreamYard and have it as an example. StreamYard is solving the streaming problem in a very easy way. Before StreamYard, we had tons of streaming products that solve the same problem with their pricing was better than StreamYard, but StreamYard excelled them, or basically differed from them in the component of user experience. StreamYard is easier to use. StreamYard is easier to learn. That's why you need to identify that sort of crystal value proposition, that sweet pain point for your customer, in order for your product to be actually successful. Again, there's no time frame for you. It boils down into the user research you take. It boils down into the value proposition you identify. Once you have these two marinated and ready for you, your product will be successful. But there is no basically guarantee that your product won't face an extensive competition. Why? Because again, new entrants will always be there. So you want to be thinking of techniques, you want to be thinking of basically other sort of like spaces to play in order for you to protect your value proposition and to protect your brand as you grow and as you mature in the market.
Right, right, Shab. Now, in today's time, everyone is, we may get tempted to uh, create a digital product which is based around artificial intelligence, because you already got that setup. You create, tweak some things, and do some coding or whatever. I am not a technical person, you know about it,
Yeah.
and then come out with a business sort of a thing, which I keep on seeing all these platform, either on Product Hunt or any of these places. You just tell any platform like this, and you can get hundreds and hundreds of the same solutions which are already there. So I sometimes wonder, what will this new product bring to the market or add? And they want you to try free, and then it leads you nowhere because you are fed up of that, because you are not learning any other thing. Another thing is, you create something around not AI but related to the market. What is your experience? What is the trend that you see which has better chance of success in today's market? One is easy, one is the difficult path. What is, I want to understand your mind on this.
Yeah. So unfortunately, Ajay, I really hate this sort of like boom that is happening with AI now, for one sole reason. Most of AI products in market now are built on top of ChatGPT, so are solely just a chatbot, what we called previously a chatbot, but like more smart chatbot, like a smarter
Yeah.
chatbot that is actually now doing a thing for you. For example, now food delivery apps are now having a sort of chatbot to recommend restaurants for you, you know. I've seen products 5 days 5 years ago, you know, doing the same thing, you know, recommended restaurants for you based on a sort of smart algorithm built in, you know. I see like, for example, products with a chatbot that can chat with you and recommend to you stuff, you know. Again, I can do the same thing with ChatGPT. Why do I need to do it inside of your product, you know? So I hate this trend because it's obviously not solving a real problem for customers, you know. It's just basically interacting with a chatbot. Now, does that mean ChatGPT is not useful? Hell no. ChatGPT is one of the best products we ever interacted with in our current century. But the thing is, cus- co- uh, companies now are using ChatGPT to double down on your and on their value proposition. But the real reality is, most of them are not solving a real problem, you know, which is problematic in the long run. It's more of like them spending some sort of resources to just integrate with ChatGPT and build more features on top of ChatGPT to just offer a chatbot, and then at the end of the day, you know, or a customizable ChatGPT app. So when you are now thinking of integrating with ChatGPT in your product, you want to ask yourself one thing: does it help you for or double down on your value proposition? If the answer is no, you want to ask yourself again another question: does it help bring profit or bring basically benefits to your business? If the answer is no, you want to ask yourself one third question, which fits into the nice to have category: does it solve a small or a minor problem for your customer? If the answer is no for all three questions, it's not worth it to go with the hype and build ChatGPT, because, or build AI driven chatbots. Because the thing is, we as end consumers, we don't care about ChatGPT being in your app. We just care about you solving a real problem for us. ChatGPT does already solve a problem, but you integrating ChatGPT in your app, does it solve a problem for your end consumers? If the answer is no, then it's not worth it. You know, it's not worth the hype nor spending resources on doing this sort of like technical work around ChatGPT to just integrate it in your app. If the answer for all these three questions is actually no.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And this always keeps on my mind that if you are basing everything on one of these platforms, either ChatGPT or any of this, Claude or anything, Perplexity, anything that you can be using, what actual value you are creating for the customer or even for yourself? Because any problem
Exactly.
with the main platforms, and you will go down, and people
Exactly.
know it, and they won't trust you in a longer run, that okay, I don't know what is going to be, I can independently be that as it may. Then let me come down to this digital product management with a lot of automation word already around. What is this digital product management, which is online, which is already managed in its own way? What do you mean then that this product needs management? What does this management all about?
Amazing question, Ajay. Thank you for it. So, when we say product management, it's just the art of doubling down on the product in your organization, you know? And when I say doubling down, it's not about just building features. A product to be built and to be usable for you to use online or like in any other like external contexts must be built. And in order for you to build that specific product, all right, you want to make sure that you, again, as we mentioned earlier, you want to follow specific steps, right? Now, for you to build a product, there are tons of basically stakeholders to interact with. You know, you want to interact with internal people to make sure that the expectations are managed. You want to interact with your users to what you want to make sure also their problems are solved. You want to also map the opinion of your stakeholders with the problems of the users, basically in order to introduce some sort of benefits to the business. You want to make sure that what you build out of all these three components is something usable, you know, something that your customers can enjoy using, you know, something that your customer is willing to pay for, you know. You want to make sure that you translate the non-technical stuff from all these three components: the stakeholders, the customer problems, you know, the business objectives into a technical thing that can be consumed by your engineers, something that your engineers can go and code for you, something that your designers can go and design for you, So who's the orchestra conductor? Who's the glue behind all these components? It's obviously the product manager, So the product manager, we call the jack of all trades, or the product CEO, someone who can take all these things, and get them done for you. And it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop by just seeing a functional product, We analyze data. We see the performance of this product, whether it's performing in the market, whether we want to double down on it, further improve it. We want to just basically stop the investment on this specific digital product or this specific feature in the digital product. For example, the chat feature in any streaming product. We do this sort of like further analysis on the product to make sure that the product is still functional, is still relevant for our customers. We do the protective work for our value proposition, as I mentioned earlier. As a founder, you will get busy dealing with other executives, boards, and investors. So who's actually protecting your value proposition? Who's doing the protection for your unique spot, or the unique selling point that you're providing to your customers? It's a product manager. It's a product manager who's making sure that you're still relevant, you're still solving a real problem, and you are, most importantly, getting it done. Making sure that it is delivered to the market, launched to the market, and it is actually performing. And if it's not performing, we are doing some sort of like proactive actions in order to get it performed, or we just discontinue and invest in other sort of like features and areas and spaces. So if you ask me in simple words, what is product management? It's all about product managers being orchestra conductors, the glue behind all these components in your organization.
Right, right, Sharaf. So now, in terms of, you see, as a product manager, as of now, I understand it's a human. But the way technology is creeping in with automation, it's almost like, it can do some work. There's already the CRM software then that can also do that. And with AI coming in, do you think this whole product manager will vanish? And and it will be again some sort of a tool which will be actually doing the job. How do you think? Do you think this may be possible? Do you think this will work or this will not work?
Obviously and unfortunately, it will not work. Product management cannot vanish. So AI can actually help product managers with their work. Let's say producing documents, or what we call BRDs, user stories. Writing strategy, basically specs out of basically what sort of insights that you have. It's gonna help you. It's gonna make a product manager more productive. But it cannot vanish product management, or get product management to vanish, because actually product management is all about emotions. There is the emotional intelligence component in a product manager. Now, if you're a stakeholder and you're requesting for a feature, or you have a problem, or you're thinking of an opportunity that you want to introduce to the market, if you tell ChatGPT, hey, please write a document on this opportunity or feature, only if you think it's valuable, ChatGPT can tell you, for example, or AI, or any AI model, that this feature is not valuable. We're not going to build a BRD around it. As easy as this. If you have like a product manager product manager based ChatGPT. Why? Because ChatGPT doesn't have the emotional intelligence to tell you and to convey the idea in a story way. However, when you are talking to a product manager and you're coming up with a crazy idea to me, I can tell you, hey, our value proposition is X. We have data. We have also these insights. And based on this, we're not going to actually go with your idea now. We're going to postpone it to the future, So the whole process of managing the expectations with your stakeholders is something that is based on emotions. It's not based merely on documents. It's not based merely on raw data or raw insights. It's based on the whole emotions things, the way I convey it, the way my body language actually performs. It's all about not being defensive. That's what differs a product manager from AI. Now, it's not one example. As a product manager, you are dealing with tons of stakeholders every day. You're dealing with engineers, you're dealing with designers, you're dealing with QAs, you're dealing with marketing team, you're dealing with sales, you're dealing with the management, you're dealing with investors. So each type of stakeholders require a specific tone, require also a specific body language. So you don't want to just be someone who just produces documents and produces sort of like uh, insights like ChatGPT. You want to be managing them in their preferred way, and that's something up till what I see now in AI cannot be done. Can AI develop to be more emotional in the future? I'm more, I would say, forgiving, possibly. But as per what I see now, AI cannot make product management vanish.
Wonderful. So at least this job of a product manager is here to stay for quite a long time. And I'm sure a lot of people would look at roles as product managers. So for them
Yes,
to understand a few more things from you, they can learn from that you have written productize. Tell us about productize. What is it, and what can people learn from that?
lovely. So the current product management market is super crowded. Tons of product managers there. Tons of product leaders, people or new people want to break into product management every day. But there is one thing that is still missing now in the market. There is actually two different types of product people. There is a good performing smart product people, and there is feature factory document writer product managers. So how to differ between both? You cannot actually differ unless you're working personally with them. You're in the same organization with them, and you're seeing their performance. You're seeing if this guy is a business guy, a proactive and a productive product manager, and if he's just basically a normal product manager trying to get things done and being a feature factory. Now, how do we get people to stand out in the market, and how do you get the right people to actually show their expertise and show their strengths in the market? Through personal branding. All right. And that's what Productized solve. It's personal branding guide for product managers. It will help them basically stand out in the market, show their value proposition if they have value proposition. And it's all about one philosophy here. um, what we call here the productized philosophy, and it's viewing yourself and viewing your career as a product. All right. Now, as product managers, and as I told you earlier, Ajay, it's all about understanding the value proposition, understanding the user problems, and making sure that there is a tangible profit out of this. You know. Now, can we actually reflect this view on our careers? Hell yeah, we can. you know and that's the whole philosophy. Like now with Productize, I can ask myself, well, what is my value proposition that I'm actually introducing to companies? Who are my target audience here? What kind of business value I will be introducing to myself by doubling down on my career, on thinking about myself from a product perspective? What kind of services I can actually offer? How can I scale now if I'm offering my services, let's say, in to the Middle East companies? Can I scale to offer my services to Europe? And here I'm talking about v- vertical scaling, or can I offer more services? And here I'm talking about horizontal scaling, So it's all about the philosophy of viewing yourself as a product, because you're a product manager and you have the skill of view or of building products. Now, how can you utilize these set of like skills to to basically benefit yourself and introduce some sort of like business value or value to your career and to yourself as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. There is much to learn from you, and I'm sure a lot of people would like to learn more about you, more about your company. So tell us a bit about your Vision X, the first personal branding. What is this for product leaders?
Lovely. So remember, we just talked about Productize, right? And there is a set of guidelines for Productize. Now we have another set of busy people who cannot go with their brand, who are like super busy to care about their brand. They cannot identify the real value behind their brand, what they can offer to their audience, and what kind of tasks they need to execute. VisionX comes to solve this problem. You have a personal branding issue. Now we will take your personal brand from A to Z, from zero to hero. That's how I like to view it. So basically, VisionX is all about us understanding more about your aspirations, more about your goals, and then we will translate it into a personal branding strategy that can actually last for 5 years. It can stay relevant for 5 years. And it doesn't stop right there. We will help you execute that strategy. So, what we're offering here is we can get your LinkedIn managed by product team. We will get you a product team who are experts in product management and who can get your LinkedIn to grow. So how we differ from other service providers who actually offer LinkedIn ghostwriters. Other LinkedIn ghostwriters, they will just bus you tons of content writers who will be writing generic content for you. But now we are busing you, actually, or getting you a product team who understands the area of product management and who can write meaningful posts based on your goal. So if your goal is basically to show that you're expert in product strategy, then they will write about product strategy, tons of cases, tons of stories. Again, based on real stories from you. There will be a sort of close collaboration with the client, and that's what is happening now. Now, it doesn't stop with LinkedIn ghostwriting, because personal branding is not about LinkedIn. We will get you also on podcasts. We have partners with us who can actually get you to tell your story in a podcast. We will get you to speak in forums. You are an expert product manager. You don't want to just stay under the hood, and someone who's like not basically known for your expertise. So we'll get you to speak in regional forums. We will also help you with your portfolio. So you have exciting cases. We will get you to build a very beautiful portfolio that showcases your expertise in product management. Also, what we're going to be doing for you is getting you to speak in front of videos. So if you want to share expertise in video forms, we can get you to show some sort of like videos to talk about different cases in product management. We can actually offer you, or suggest, I would say to you, different topics to talk about. If you want to talk in reels, if you want to give lectures, if you want to host webinars, we have the perfect team that facilitates the growth of your personal brand. That's all about VisionX, and that's the solution we offer. Solution that is highly and fully tailored for product leaders. It's not for other knowledge workers. It's not for any other departments or any other teams. It's all about product leaders, brought to you by product leaders.
Wonderful, wonderful. There's much, as I said, much to learn from you. And I'm sure a lot of people would like to connect with you, know more about you, connect with you for VisionX. So what's the best way for them to do so?
You can visit my website, www.shehabberam.com, SHEHABBERAM with no space, or you can just connect with me on LinkedIn, shehabberam.com.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you so much, Ajay. It was a pleasure talking to you. Have a lovely day.